really know that they're pushing a narrative that was pushed onto them, and they did it. A lot of them, it happened so successfully because they didn't bother to do their jobs, and they didn't bother to do the most basic journalism. And what you're seeing now with with more propaganda being pushed and people not standing up and owning their mistakes, to me, that's a sign that this really is an organized propaganda effort.
Well, I tell you what, Laura, one member of the mainstream media, Rolling Stone correspondent Matt Taibbi, said in the last couple of weeks, he said that the Russia collusion spectacle was essentially the worst media fail in American journalism history. He was sitting down with Sean Illing from Vox, and they were talking about, where did this all come from? And as it turns out, it came from the fact that so many people were so upset that Donald Trump became president, they could not accept it, so they blamed it all on cheating.
So Sean, the Vox reporter, he writes, a lot of people simply did not want to believe that Trump was a legitimate president, that someone this vulgar and this dishonest could win a presidential election. And I think that disbelief and the emotional devastation of his election colored a lot of our judgments. Then Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stone writes, absolutely. Look, almost every pundit failed to see what was happening during the presidential election. No one thought that this guy could win. It was almost a 100% consensus in the industry. Nobody even accepted it as an idea that he could possibly win. And a lot of that had to do with this insulary media. What's your response?
Well, that in itself is a form of propaganda, right? If you look at the strategic document for Media Matters for America, which is the most powerful propaganda organization in this country, and they describe themselves as a propaganda organization. That's what they do. They pretend that they're about good journalism, but there's no propaganda organization that's looking for good journalism. They're pushing their agenda, and in it, one of their main pillars of their strategy is to make sure that Donald Trump is seen as the most unpopular president in history. That he is seen, they push all this idea of collusion and an endless stream of breaking news stories about that suggest corruption and dishonesty, etc., etc. So what they found is fertile ground, right, for these talking points and propaganda points to grow. It doesn't just happen because journalists are upset. They're being manipulated, they're being deceived. Some of them are willing, some of them are political operatives themselves. And what I think is a mistake to look at this as just human failing. Oh, it just happened because people were upset because this man is so terrible. Well, that in itself is a propaganda talking point for the progressive political movement and Media Matters for America. Read their documents and listen to their words, and you'll see it. It's not me making it up. It comes from them. And what I'm more concerned about is what is the level of organization and funding behind this, and the level of collusion between journalists and propaganda groups, that these narratives have been so powerfully enforced. People say, oh, well, Donald Trump's style is so